Day 67 of the Atlantic hurricane season, day 85 in the Eastern Pacific. It's August 6, 2013, and we currently have 3 systems active at the moment. Tropical Depression Gil, which is still going in the Eastern Pacific, heading towards Hawaii, will pass towards the south of that. Henriette, which formed yesterday, now intensifying fairly quickly, likely to become a hurricane in the next 24 hours. And a new system in the Western Pacific, 10W, Depression 10W, Philippine name Kiko, moving into the South China Sea now and expected to move towards the northwest towards Vietnam over the next few days. More on that very shortly. So here are the 3 systems that are worldwide at the moment. They're the only ones officially classified as systems, 10W, Jill and Henriette along the screen there. And 2 of them heading towards the Central Pacific at the moment from the Eastern Pacific. Probably no real threat to Hawaii, but you never know what may occur with the storm's effects. In the Atlantic, things looking fairly quiet. You can see what's left of Dorian's remnants moving well out to the North Atlantic, and nothing new appearing to form or pose any threat in the tropical region of the Atlantic. Looking at the Indian Ocean, things remaining fairly quiet at the moment, as it usually does at this time of year. It's a fairly inactive time of year for the Indian Ocean, particularly in the north. Things will ramp up a little bit towards the end of the year. Looking at the sea surface temperatures then, warm waters remaining very much so off the coast of Mexico and out to sea quite a little distance there. Into the Gulf of Mexico as well, very warm waters here, near 30 degrees generally. Same too for Cuba, around Florida as well, southern Florida. And out to sea in the Atlantic, for the whole western half, waters are certainly conducive for tropical storms. In the Western Pacific, the same is true here as well, east of the Philippines. In the South China Sea, it's a bit cooler, but still enough for tropical cyclone development. So here's Tropical Depression Gil. Would you believe it? It's actually strengthened slightly in the past 6 hours or so to 35 miles per hour. It bottomed out at 30 earlier, and the pressure's down 1 millibar to 1006. Currently expected to move towards the west, turn to a remnant low in about 24 hours time, and then eventually pass towards quite away to the south of the Hawaiian Islands. Shouldn't be too much of a problem in the Hawaii. Tropical Storm Henriette then, moving towards the northwest at the moment, 65 miles per hour, pressure's 996 millibars, positions 12.8 degrees north, 129 degrees west, expected to move towards the northwest, becoming a hurricane very soon, probably peaking as a high-end Category 1 storm, and then moving out towards the west, towards Hawaii, again as a tropical storm, but will probably pass to the south. So this is the shear map at the moment. You can see a high shear, a large area of high shear towards the north of both systems, but where they are at the moment, things are looking fairly conducive and should remain the case for at least a short while. The shear upon yesterday has moved a little bit towards the north, so that's certainly good news, if anything, for the storms at least. And this is Tropical Depression 10W, which has formed in the Western Pacific in the South China Sea, expected to move towards the northwest, becoming a tropical storm along the way, and then entering the Gulf of Tonkin, making landfall in Vietnam, probably as a weak or moderate tropical storm. Current pressure is 1003 millibars, expected to deepen over the next 2 days or so. And this is the Western Pacific overview then. You can see 10W forming in the South China Sea there, moving away from the Philippines, and is now closer to Vietnam than it is to the Philippines, and that's where the storm will really cause problems possibly. There will be heavy rains, possibly strong winds as well on the Vietnamese coast, and considering how it's tracking up the whole coast of Vietnam, it could be a rather widespread situation as well. This is Gil then. You can see it's still going at the moment in a fairly moist environment, and well, it's still trying, isn't it? 35 miles per hour. It's actually strengthened slightly upon earlier, but it probably won't last very long. There is a small chance of it becoming a tropical storm again, but we'll have to see about that one. And this is Tropical Storm Henriette, certainly looking decent at the moment, moving towards the northwest generally out in the open Pacific waters in a very moist environment indeed, moving towards the northwest in fairly conducive conditions, not much stopping it from becoming a hurricane, which it should do in the next 12 hours or so in my opinion. We'll probably see Hurricane Henriette. And Tropical Depression 10W in the Western Pacific, moving towards the northwest fairly quickly as well, as a matter of fact. You can see in comparison to the other ones that we've just seen, moving fairly quickly through the South China Sea, and a lot of clouds are already over Vietnam at the moment in association with the storm, causing heavy rainfall probably in central Vietnam along the coastline there in particular. So let's take a look at the model runs then. The CMC, you can see Henriette moving towards the northwest, strengthening and then weakening quickly, and then possibly 3 systems in the Eastern Pacific after that, not to mention one in the Atlantic as well, moving through the Cape Verde Islands and then out to sea in the Atlantic, through the Central Atlantic there. The ECMWF model doesn't really predict too much in terms of any storm development. In the Eastern Pacific, just 1 or 2 disturbances, nothing really significant. In the Atlantic, perhaps a tropical wave or 2, but nothing that develops into a significant storm. The GFS model takes Henriette towards the northwest as forecast pretty much, and then dips towards the south, with 2 new systems forming after that as well. More towards the Central Pacific than the Eastern Pacific there on that map. You can see them forming at the end of that loop, and also shows that system moving out of Africa north of the Cape Verde Islands into the Atlantic as well, which could be a system. The NavGen model is fairly similar as well in the Eastern Pacific, Henriette off to the northwest, and then a new system forming behind that further towards the east. The HWRF model takes Henriette towards the northwest, then dips towards the southwest again, around Gill almost really, and then another system forming behind that, looking fairly disorganised, but a tropical storm nonetheless. And this is the intensity forecast generally for the current storm Henriette. Most you can take a look at most of these, possibly towards a hurricane. You can see a bit of variation from around 70 miles per hour to maybe even 90 or 100 miles per hour potentially. That was hinted by the HWRF model not too long ago. The shear comparisons there with the shear maps, shears remaining fairly low, at least for the time being. The sea surface temperatures over 28 degrees initially, slowly going down as time goes on, and the relative humidity remains very high at the moment, which is obviously conducive to development, and then turning hostile eventually as time goes on. Only about 5 days out or so though, so plenty of time for Henriette yet. The CMC model has another storm forming after the current one, 10W moving into Vietnam as forecast by the officials pretty much, and then quite an intense typhoon forming after that, but that is still fairly pretty much speculation at this stage into Taiwan there. The GFS model doesn't predict such a thing either, but it does take 10W through Hainan Island and then into Vietnam, which may mean a slightly weaker system if that one does occur due to land interaction. Looking at the overall predicted season scores then, August the 6th in first place is William with 72 points, in second place is Hurricane Barbara with 69, and in third place is BFDIA Submission 2 with 66 points. That's the top 3 at the moment as of August the 6th. And you can submit your own totals at the website force13.com/interactive. Just click the 2013 predictor season button, and not only can you submit your own totals, just submit them and they'll be put on the leaderboard in due course. You can also view that leaderboard and all the 170 plus submissions that we've had so far for the predictor season competition, if you want to call it that. Please do take part if you wish. On this day then, August the 6th in 1976, Tropical Storm Belle formed in the Atlantic. That one's pictured there. Also Tropical Storm Hyacinth formed in the Eastern Pacific on that day too. In 1978, Tropical Storm Bess formed in the Gulf of Mexico, and in 1980, Hurricane Allen passed Haiti and Jamaica, resulting in 238 fatalities and $547 million of damages in the Dominican Republic, Haiti, Jamaica and Cuba, pictured there. In 1990, Tropical Storm Diana made landfall in Mexico. In 1998, Tropical Storm Frank formed in the Eastern Pacific. The next year, 1999, Tropical Storm Dora and Eugene both formed in the Eastern Pacific on the same day. And in 2001, Tropical Storm Barry made landfall in Florida, resulting in 9 fatalities and $30 million in damages. There it is pictured on radar, making landfall in the Florida Panhandle region. In 2004, Tropical Storm Ranamin formed in the Western Pacific. In 2008, Tropical Storm Hernan formed in the Eastern Pacific. That one's pictured there. In 2010, Tropical Storm Estelle also formed in the Eastern Pacific. And in 2011, 2 years ago now, Tropical Storm Emily briefly regenerated near the Bahamas. A fairly similar situation to Dorian in terms of where it regenerated, but there you have it, Emily there. And in 2010, you can see pictured Estelle in the Eastern Pacific there. And don't forget, you can track any storm that forms, or indeed any that are currently active. There's 3 to keep you busy at the moment at the website force13.com/stormtracking.html. That's the main page for the storm tracking information. That shows you the overlay map where the storms are located, and the top and bottom where the tables are, which show you their intensities and indeed any warnings that are currently in effect. No official warnings in effect at the moment, though there may be some heavy rains occurring over Vietnam. In terms of the Central Pacific, Hawaii is not on alert yet and isn't likely to be in terms of any threats from Gill or Henriette over the next 5 days. It doesn't seem like that the Hawaii will get a repeat of Flossie, even though Flossie wasn't too bad over the Hawaiian Islands as it was anyway. And you can also visit the social pages, YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. Just search Force 13 on any of those mediums and you should find us fairly easily enough. And don't forget to show your support by doing the usual liking, commenting, favouriting, subscribing, or indeed anything else that I may have forgotten that I usually do at this point. And if you do have any suggestions for these videos, or indeed anything else in particular for Force 13, please do let me know. You can send a comment in on the just below this video, and through private message as well if you wish to do privately. And you can also visit the new forum that's out there on the website force13.com. Just go on the site and there's a forum button in the top right. Just click that and that's the new discussion forum, which is online now. It's been going for around 2 weeks or so. And if you wish to discuss current storms or indeed past storms or anything else, maybe even hypothetical storms if you wish, I know a lot of you are fans of those, please do visit the forum. force13.com/forum will take you right there. The next bulletin will be coming up around midnight UTC, as always on Wednesday morning. That will be August the 7th, but until then that's all for now.